In the headlines, the Ministry of Agriculture defends sending 12 parrots to Germany for captive breeding, saying due diligence was observed. DAC successfully completes salary negotiations for 2015 to 2017, and in sports, West Indies qualify for the 2019 World Cup. I am Kenny Williams with the Channel 5 News. I'll be back with the details right after this.
Do you need more cash for that home improvement? Then come to Fast Cash, where we give you more. At Fast Cash, our customers get more funds and more time to repay. But wait, can't come to us? We'll come to you, and our mobile officer will get you on your way. Small businesses, consumers, and taxi owners. Fast Cash has more for everyone. Simply call or visit any of our locations for more. Smarter, faster, better. Fast Cash. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. First up, agricultural authorities say due diligence was done on a Berlin-based agency to export 12 resident parrots to Germany for breeding. Idona Jean-Baptiste explains.
The impact of Hurricane Maria had forced the parrot population on island to the brink of extinction. Facing that threat, 12 of the birds were handed over to the Berlin-based Association for the Conservation of Threatened Parrots on Saturday from their facility at the Botanic Gardens. That decision by the authorities to place the country's rarest birds in a captive breeding program in a European nation has come under public scrutiny, particularly due to the lack of awareness on the matter. Channel 5 News has been reliably informed that staff of the Forestry Division's Parrot Conservation and Research Center is among those unaware of the move. However, Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries Johnson Drago told Channel 5 News he would not entertain the propaganda.
The facility in Germany where our parrots are now kept, it's a recognized facility. St. Lucia have sent their birds there into captive breeding. St. Vincent sent their birds there into captive breeding. Brazil sent birds there into captive breeding. It was only Dominica's turn to look at it as an option, considering the impact of Maria on our birds. I have been informed by my permanent secretary that one of the birds, one of the sister parrots we had in captive breeding, was actually sick and needed medical attention. The idea of sending animals into captive breeding, it's not a new idea. We're satisfied that our birds will be back at the right time, and hopefully they will breed in captivity, and we will be successful in the captive breeding program, and all of our birds will be back and they will be released into the wild.
There's a certain concern that the staff at the Forestry Division that were directly involved in monitoring and conservation of the parrot were not involved in this process. Why?
The Ministry of Agriculture cannot respond to gossip. So I'm not going to respond to gossip. But rest assured that everything that had to be done, every I was dotted and every T was crossed.
Drago said the birds were exported legally with all the necessary documents and entered Germany with the support of the authorities there.
This is 2018. No government is not going to be exporting or sending birds overseas with all the proper documents in place. So these are just gossip that I won't be able to entertain.
Okay, so are we satisfied that we did the due diligence and process over this association?
Most definitely. The whole OECS is being an initiative, and so I'm satisfied that the parrots, which were sent to Germany, will be well cared for in a facility that other islands of the Caribbean have recognized and have done even before us the best practice.
The ACTP announced on its Facebook page 3 weeks ago that it will fund a parrot supplementary feeding program for the country to the tune of €100,000 and to donate vehicles to the Forestry Division.
After Maria, our parrots, our surviving parrots, they were deeply under threat. As a matter of fact, parrots came down to meet humans in the villages, in the communities, to feed on trash, whatever they could get for survival. Because the canopy of the forest was totally destroyed. Every tree lost all their limbs. And therefore the habitat of the forest, of the parrot, was destroyed. And they were astray. The parrots were dying. Government had to import feed for the birds in the forest and disperse them in strategic location so that our birds could feed. The parrots themselves became prey to other animals in the forest and so on.
The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries told Channel 5 News off the camera on Wednesday that the parrots would remain in Germany with the Conservation Association until they breed. He said in a statement on Tuesday evening that 10 jackals and 2 Cicero parrots were transported to Germany via St. Lucia with the help of the German Federal Agency for Nature Conservation.
Conservation may be in situ or ex situ, meaning it can be done locally or externally. Dominica does not have either, with the exception of the birds that are kept in the wild, exposed to the forces of nature. The birds kept for display at the Botanic Gardens is by no means a conservation program. There are no protocols for caring for the birds or managing the birds. The birds are kept at the facility and fed for display. I have noticed many health issues with the birds kept at the facility based on the feeding and other husbandry practices. Before the transfer was made with ACTP, we checked with the sister islands of St. Lucia and St. Vincent regarding the reputation of the organization and whether there were any problems experienced. They assured us that they have had no issues with their birds and they are not worried of extinction of their bird if they were to be impacted by a natural disaster, be it hurricane or volcanic eruption.
One of the immediate interventions post-Hurricane Maria was for the International Fund for Animal Welfare to help the birds recover from the trauma, including conducting surgeries to treat their injuries. 6 birds, including 2 with neurological issues, are still at the Parrot Conservation and Research Center in the Botanic Gardens. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
In more top stories, a leading trade union has successfully completed salary negotiations with government. President of the Dominica Association of Teachers says negotiations for the 2015-2017 triennium were successfully completed earlier this year.
We have completed our negotiations with the negotiating team. The teachers have gotten their increases, and the Dominica Association of Teachers, because remember, when we don't get the level of increases we would like for the teachers, we also look at funding for institutional activities. And we did get, though maybe reduced by maybe 5%, we did get the funds that we requested for institutional support.
When asked of negotiations for the upcoming triennium, Nicholas says that due to the current state of the economy, the DAT will hold off on negotiations for the time being.
I don't know if you can think about next triennium with the conditions that we are dealing with. I mean, we have to be understanding. Not sometimes the government is not so understanding of us requesting things on behalf of our members, but we are a very understanding bunch of people. We think about the country as a whole.
The DAT boss suggests that government provide incentives and concessions to the trade unions in order to make the negotiation process less tedious.
From the government level, I think they should consider something that the unions may not even have to request percentages. That's the advice I'm giving them. Think hard and offer certain concessions or whatever it is that, but when they're ready, we shall be ready too.
We continue with this item where Minister for Telecommunications, Kelva Daru, is calling for legislation to ensure that competing service providers work together in the aftermath of a natural disaster for the quicker restoration of communication services. During a handing over ceremony on Tuesday, where the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, ECTEL, donated $350,000 to government, Daru said competing service providers need to collaborate in the aftermath of a disaster to restore the sector in a shorter space of time.
Since telecommunication services are so fundamentally critical before, during, and after any natural disaster, that legislation and certain regulations be looked into for the facilitation of a unified and resilient network for use by all subscribers, irrespective of service providers' platform, particularly where two or more competing networks are operational in any member state for the preservation of life, property, and to safeguard the security of the state through adequate and reliable communications. And that simply means in Dominica, we have the two main service providers, Flow and Digicel. And as the minister, I think it is important that during the disaster, these service providers, they are able to share equipment to ensure that if one service provider has their towers up, you as a subscriber, because you are not subscribed to that particular service provider, you won't be denied. But we can quickly move the process forward so that they can utilize the same towers and you can have communication restored to consumers who may not be subscribed to that particular service provider, and that is critical.
Outside of collaboration among competitors, Daru believes more should be done to develop a resilient telecommunications sector in the region.
May I suggest that ECTEL seeks to not only respond with funding gestures such as these after disasters, but to look at ensuring governments strictly adhere to and enforce the provisions of the Temper Convention on Emergency Telecommunications in all jurisdictions in member states, in keeping with the mandate to ensure: 1, reliable, rapid availability of telecommunication resources for disaster mitigation and relief operations; 2, to facilitate international cooperation to mitigate the impact of disasters; and 3, to facilitate the effective, timely deployment of telecommunication resources that rapid, efficient, accurate, and truthful information flows are essential to reducing the loss of life, human suffering, damage to property, and the environment caused by disasters.
The Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association has donated office equipment to the Wesley High School and Combined Taxi Association to assist with rehabilitation and efforts post-Hurricane Maria.
Over the past 6 months, DHTA has lobbied on behalf of private sector organizations for the procurement of resources to support institutions with the restoration of business operations. Following Maria, a Wesley High School teacher contacted the DHTA to help the institution recover from vandalism. On Wednesday, DHTA Executive Vice President Kevin Francis presented the Wesley High School with 2 projectors donated by backpacker, hiker, and longtime friend of Dominica, New York native Ivy Raff. The school principal said she was delighted for the assistance. Francis noted that there was a high emphasis placed on investment in the youth and to create development opportunities for them to create positive change. The DHTA also presented computers to the Combined Taxi Association. Francis said Combined Taxi Association played a vital role in the delivery of our tourism product, and there was no doubt that their continued operation was for the benefit of the entire country.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Coming up, Discover Dominica Authority reports on the country's progress since Hurricane Maria. That and more coming up.
When persons with TB sneeze or cough, healthy persons nearby breathe in the droplets and the bacteria can lodge in their lungs. People with weakened immune systems such as HIV/AIDS, alcohol and drug users, smokers, children, and the elderly are most susceptible. Persons with a cough should take precautions when in contact with persons in public places. Cover your mouth when sneezing and coughing. Visit your doctor or health center. You must complete your treatment. TB can be cured even with HIV. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB and HIV. Protect yourself and others.
Thank you for staying with us. The CEO of Discover Dominica Authority says the destination has made major progress 6 months after Hurricane Maria.
A release issued on Wednesday points to progress in restoring routes to and from the island, essential services and amenities, and transportation throughout the island. CEO of Discover Dominica Authority, Colin Piper, says in his words, "We have made significant progress in getting the island ready for guests." Fort Young Hotel has reopened more than half of its rooms, while many cruise lines are resuming visits to the country's 2 cruise ship berths. A total of 393 hotel and guest house rooms are available. This represents 41% of the total stock of 962 rooms available before Hurricane Maria. Fort Young Hotel will open additional rooms, and Secret Bay, Calibishi Cove and Citrus Creek Plantation are expected to reopen in the last quarter of this year. Jungle Bay Resort, Cabritz Resort Kempinski and the Anichi Resort will increase Dominica's room stock by 340. The DDA press release says Dominica has full connectivity to international and regional markets with regular flights offered by regional carriers including Liat, Seabourn Airlines and Winair. As of Thursday, Inter-Caribbean Airways will operate non-stop scheduled services between Dominica, St. Lucia and Tortola. The Douglas Charles Airport and Canefield airports have welcomed passengers since October 2017. Connections are available to Barbados, Antigua, San Juan, St. Martin, St. Kitts, Tortola, St. Thomas, Anguilla, St. Lucia, St. Croix. Air access has been expanded with night landing available at Douglas Charles Airport until 8 p.m. for public flights and 10 p.m. by special arrangement.
Next up, Dominica is to embark on the importation of fruit trees to help with its reforestation project post-Hurricane Maria. Andrea Louis has more.
The announcement was made by Agriculture Minister Johnson Drygo when he addressed a ceremony to mark International Day of Forests on Wednesday.
Government has taken a policy decision to bring in plants into the island, in particular fruit trees. Of course, the ministry is in the process of putting the mechanism in place to ensure that the facilities, some facilities around the world will be visited by officials of the ministry, certified facilities that is. We are aware that the recertification of our nurseries and so on will take some time, and therefore we can't afford to wait until the facilities are ready. So some plants will be imported into the island. I want the Forestry Division to be very much involved in this.
The theme for this year's International Day of Forests is Forest and Sustainable Cities.
We've lost, yes, a number of major trees in the gardens, and of course the task for replanting is quite a challenging one. You know, for the fact that trees take quite a number of years for them to actually be able to mature and grow back. So it's a tremendous task for us, but it's also an opportunity for us to be able to look at a holistic development to redevelop the gardens and make it even into a more splendid, one of the more majestic gardens in the Caribbean, which it was at one point in time. So the Botanic Garden situated in Roseau, of course, is a major part of the ensuring that we have Dominica, of course, have a nice green city, and we have to ensure that we restore the gardens with one majestic setting.
Member of Parliament for the Roseau Central constituency, Joseph Isaac, urged Dominicans to see the restoration of the forest as a development strategy for Dominica.
A development strategy because our forest reserve is really Dominica's foremost asset. You have other Caribbean countries who boast of beaches and high-end tourism, but Dominica's foremost asset is really our forest reserve, and I dare say our people also. I know that we are facing a major challenge of reforestation, but I think with the staff of the Forestry Division, we will be able to achieve such a milestone.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Reginald Thomas, commended the Forestry Division on restoration works to the Botanic Gardens thus far.
The gardens is beginning to look like the Botanic Gardens, and this initiative, this tree planting ceremony, just enhances that work and enhance that work that we need to do. I have traveled in many countries and see the importance of parks for the livelihoods of people, for the quality of life for people within their cities. So Botanic Gardens stands out to us. It is an important space for us, and we need to protect it and preserve it in the best way that we can.
A symbolic tree planting project took place in the Botanic Gardens to mark International Day of Forests. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And the manager of the Solid Waste Management Corporation, Florian Mitchell, has reassured the concerned public that plans are still being finalized to facilitate the sorting, compacting, and export of used galvanized. The impact of Hurricane Maria, coupled with efforts by homeowners to rebuild, has resulted in a buildup of used galvanized in Portsmouth, Canefield, Grand Bay, and other areas. Speaking to Channel 5 News early February, manager of Solid Waste Corporation, Florian Mitchell, was optimistic that a local company would be contracted to undertake the sorting, compacting, baling, and exporting of the galvanized. Back in February, Mitchell said government was in the final stages of discussions with a local entity with respect to baling and exporting the material. He was confident at the time that there would have been some traction on that matter during the month of February, but this has not yet come through. Speaking to Channel 5 News on Wednesday, Mitchell said the contractual matters were not yet finalized, but he sounded a note of optimism, saying there was good progress being made. That's news, your sports highlights. Next. First up in sports, West Indies went on to qualify for the finals of the ICC World Cup qualifiers and the 2019 World Cup, complement a 5-run Duckworth-Lewis win against Scotland on Wednesday. Sent into bat, West Indies was bowled out for 198 runs. Chris Gale fell for duck on the first ball. Evan Lewis then went on to prop the Windies score with 66 runs, which included 2 sixes and 7 fours. Marlon Samuels also added a brilliant 51 to further improve the Windies' chances of a win. A combination of Safian Sharif and Brad Wheel gave the Windies a bit of a scare, who took 3 wickets for 27 runs and 3 for 34 respectively. With a revised target of 131 due to rainfall, Scotland was limited to 125 for the loss of 5 wickets in 35.2 overs. Their highest batting contributors were Richie Berrington, 33, and Jordan Munsey, 32. Kemar Roach picked up 2 for 20, while Ashley Nurse took 2 for 35. On the local cricket scene, one member of the local cricketing fraternity is calling on umpires to show more interest in the sport. The Dominica Cricket Association's 50 overs-a-side competition has been suffering as a result of cricket umpires failing to show up for matches.
The other challenge we had is the lack of umpires. I think that was something that that has affected the league in a little way. But I think for the time being, I think everything is being put in place. And that is why the intermediate league will start this weekend. It was supposed to have been started two weeks ago, but because of the challenges of umpiring. So we're calling on, we have a serious challenge of umpiring in Dominica of late. I don't know what is the cause of that, but if somebody hearing my voice right now, they are interested in making a contribution to the umpiring in Dominica, they should come forward.
The umpires usually meet at Winter Park Stadium every Tuesday from 4:30 p.m. Pascal's concern lies with the continuity of the sport and says the seasoned umpires must set the example for the younger ones.
We have so many young players coming through, in terms of their cricket development, but it won't happen if they don't have umpires. Because, for example, the situation with one of the young cricketers that I know personally, because you would have known that my son is one of the players in Stefan Pascal. He's one of the young players that has been selected. We tried to get him a couple games, in terms of match practice, and it couldn't happen because the umpiring was a challenge.
The Intermediate Cricket League is scheduled to bowl off this weekend. Moving on to cycling, where a 47-year-old based in Antigua is encouraging local athletes to keep active in order to stay healthy. Using himself as an example, Jeffrey Kelsick says his health has significantly improved since his participation in the sport.
First of all, I'm 47, so I'm doing this for a lifestyle change to raise my level of fitness. I'm a pilot by profession. This year gave me 28 years as a pilot. 16 years as a captain of Liat. So if I can do it at 47, a lot of people can also do it as a lifestyle change. You may not have to compete, but that will keep you away from the doctor. My fitness level is tremendous. I lose overall in the last 3 years about 36 pounds. My training partner, he was 267 pounds. He's now down to 198, and he's also part of the national team in Antigua. So it's not just all about racing, it's also about a lifestyle change, healthy lifestyle change, exercise, and also getting the youth to do something that's positive.
After stopping to help Bram Sanderson, who fell behind in Sunday's race, Kelsick caught up with the pack and still went on to finish first, all while coaching Kohath Baron along the route. In football, there were wins for the St. Mary's and the San Sauvé primary schools in the intermediate round of the Schools Football League on Tuesday. SMP dominated their game against Collioure Dublin combined, scoring 9-1 to take the win. Bagatelle Bellevue Chopin combined fell 5-3 against San Sauvé, and SMP hammered San Sauvé 8-0. At the end of Tuesday's play, SMP finished on 6 points, San Sauvé 3, while Bagatelle Bellevue combined and Collioure Dublin combined were yet to come off the mark. At Stock Farm Complex, Goodwill and Newtown Primary tied on 6 points, while Mao and Petit Savant finished on 0 each. At Benjamin's Park, Roosevelt Douglas Primary finished first with 6 points, followed by Calibishi Primary 3, while the Girondel and Caleb John Lower Primary Schools were yet to gain a point. Finally, at Cassabruce, Atkinson Lighthouse Academy combined got 6 points, Granfort 3, while the Cassabruce and Mont Prosper Primary Schools had 0 points each. Finally, there were wins for multiple teams in the most recent games of the Guinea's Domino Island-wide competition. In Zone A, Giants won over Dolphins by 1,277 points. Golden Arms got the better of Tremors, and Remix finished on 657 points to take the lead against 007. In Zone B, we can tell you that Lindomart Homeboys beat Bay Boys, Metric scored 1,072 points more than Strikers to take the win, and Fire Services beat Bay Boys. Warriors topped Zone C in terms of points and beat Furcus by 260 points. Laplane defeated Baghdad, and non-players bested Strikers. In results from Zone D, Public Enemies went past Runners Boys, Skills beat Taru, and Valiance got the better of Layu. Finally, in Zone E, we can tell you that Wake Up Stars beat Stars by 738 points, while Roadblock finished 517 points ahead of Itasi, and Rockers defeated One Case by 1,138 points. That's all the time for sports. Join us next time. To end the news, the headlines again. Ministry of Agriculture defends sending 12 parrots to Germany for captive breeding, saying due diligence was observed. DAT successfully completes salary negotiations for 2015 to 2017. And in sports, West Indies qualify for the 2019 World Cup. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Kenny Williams. To all viewers around the world, thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.